Ever had a business owner tell you they have so much work they don't even need marketing?
It sounds like a dream scenario, right?
Yeah.
But as our CEO, Tom Snyder, points out, relying strictly on word of mouth is actually kind of a hidden trap.
Welcome to the Trivera Deep Dive podcast. I'm Chip, your AI co-host.
And I'm Nova. We are so excited to be here with you today.
We really are. And, as proud members of Team Trivera, we are super eager to jump right into today's deep dive. We're looking at a fantastic new blog from our website by Tom, our founder.
Yes, and Tom brings over 30 years of digital marketing experience here in suburban Milwaukee to the table. So his wisdom is just exactly what we need for this deep dive.
Totally. And the insight he shares in this piece really explores a counterintuitive truth about business growth. Basically, your absolute best source of leads might simultaneously be your company's greatest vulnerability.
Yeah, it's such a critical tension to explore. Tom's blog really distills what our team has seen time and time again in the trenches of digital strategy. He starts by outlining the undeniable power of word of mouth, but then he mechanically deconstructs why treating it as your only strategy is just, it's fundamentally dangerous.
He opens the blog with this highly relatable anecdote, actually.
Yeah.
He's talking to a business owner who is basically taking a victory lap.
Oh, I love this part.
Right. This owner tells Tom, "Every job we get comes from referrals. We've got more work than we can handle. I don't need SEO. I don't need advertising."
The pride is just palpable.
It really is. And frankly, I get it. I mean, if you're running a business, hitting that point feels like you've won the game. But Tom's reaction is what really caught my eye. He just looks at the guy and says, "That's fantastic. I hope that never changes."
Which is such a brilliant response because it validates the achievement without validating the strategy.
Exactly.
Tom and our entire team at Trivera, we completely agree on the foundational premise referrals are the ultimate lead. There really is no better prospect than one who comes to you through a trusted, mutual connection.
Oh, for sure. They close faster. There's less negotiation.
Right. But then Tom follows up that congratulation with a very sharp, almost uncomfortable question. He asks, "Can you schedule one?"
I mean, that question just completely changes the entire geometry of the conversation.
Right.
But Nova, let me just play devil's advocate for a second here.
Okay, go for it.
If I am that business owner and my margins are incredible because I spend $0 on customer acquisition, why shouldn't I just ride that wave? Like, why do I need to schedule anything if the phone is already ringing?
Well, because you're assuming the environment will remain completely static. When you rely entirely on referrals, you're basically bringing a massive uncontrollable variable right into the core of your revenue model.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, think about the mechanics of a referral. It requires a past client to recognize a need in someone else, remember your business, accurately describe your value, and then compel that person to reach out.
That is a lot of things. They have to go perfectly right.
Exactly. It is a highly complex chain of events. And when you don't control any part of that chain, you have zero leverage when the chain inevitably breaks.
That actually brings up a framing I like to use when looking at business operations, the farming analogy.
Oh, yeah. Lay it on me.
So if you run a farm and rely entirely on rainwater, that is incredibly efficient when it's raining. You don't have to pay for pumps or pipes or, municipal water.
Right. Your overhead is beautifully low.
Exactly. The crops grow, the harvest is great. But what happens during a drought?
You're in big trouble.
Yeah. If you haven't invested some of your profits into building an irrigation system, you don't just have a bad quarter, you lose the farm. Relying purely on referrals is like relying entirely on the weather.
That is such a perfect analogy. The rainwater is great, but hoping for rain is not an agricultural strategy because you cannot schedule a referral. Relying on them creates this deep structural vulnerability.
Right.
And this leads directly to a paradigm shift that Tom outlines regarding the true function of marketing. He argues that a marketing leader's primary job isn't actually lead generation.
Which sounds crazy at first.
It does. But he says their primary job is reducing uncertainty.
I really want to highlight that because it completely flips how most executives view their marketing department. Usually, marketing is viewed as a growth engine, right? Like a machine where you put $1 in and get $2 out.
Exactly. Just a lead factory.
But framing it as an instrument for reducing uncertainty, that elevates marketing to operational risk management.
Precisely. Smart marketers are basically risk analysts. They're constantly scanning the horizon for single points of failure before those vulnerabilities manifest into balance sheet disasters.
Yeah.
When you look at marketing as a hedge against bad luck, the conversation moves away from what is the cheapest way to get a lead to how do we protect this company's future?
Let's actually break down those single points of failure because Tom listed several common ones in his blog, and I guarantee you listeners will recognize them.
Oh, absolutely.
The first is relying on one major customer. We see this constantly. A mid-sized company lands a quote-unquote whale of a client that represents like 40 or 50% of their annual revenue.
It feels like a massive win at the time.
It does. But mechanically, it is a nightmare. If that client's procurement department mandates a vendor change, or maybe a new CEO comes in with their own preferred agency, your business is instantly facing layoffs.
Yeah, that is terrifying. And another classic single point of failure is relying on one top salesperson. You have a rainmaker who holds all the relationships, controls the pipeline, and brings in the lion's share of new contracts.
The business feels secure, sure.
But the security is an illusion. If that rainmaker gets poached by a competitor or just decides to retire, all that revenue walks right out the door with them. The company doesn't actually own the growth, the employee does.
Man, that's so true. We also see this heavily in event-based industries, like sub-businesses rely on one specific trade show for their entire year's pipeline.
Oh, I've seen that so many times.
Right. They go to the annual expo, collect 1,000 business cards, and spend the next 11 months just working those leads. But what happens if travel gets restricted or the organizer goes bankrupt?
Or people just stop attending in person.
Exactly. Your sole lead generation channel evaporates instantly.
And, we cannot ignore the digital single points of failure either. Our team sees companies that have built entire business models around one high-ranking keyword on Google.
Which is so risky right now.
It is. They capture all this organic search traffic and convert it efficiently. But search algorithms are not static. A core update rolls out, prioritizing a different type of content, or maybe a new AI overview feature drops, and that organic traffic falls by 80% overnight.
Wow.
Years of perceived stability are erased just because the foundation was built on rented land.
Which brings us right back to Tom's point. To the business owner, relying on one source of referrals is just another single point of failure. It works beautifully until your primary referral partner changes jobs, alters their business model, or just has a slow year themselves.
Right. And the key takeaway here isn't that you shouldn't pursue whales or hire rainmakers or optimize for search.
Obviously, you still want to do those things.
Yes, but you cannot let your business depend on just one of them.
But knowing these single points of failure exist actually creates a whole new danger, doesn't it? Something Tom calls the more marketing trap.
Oh, the panic response, yes.
When a leadership team looks at their operations and realizes they're completely exposed, say, they notice the referral pipeline has been quiet for a couple of months. The natural human response is just pure panic.
Oh, it is so predictable. I can vividly picture the executive meeting,
Right. The CEO looks at the revenue projections, sees the gap, and immediately starts demanding these disconnected tactics like, we need pipeline today. Someone launch a podcast. Double our Google Ads budget.
Start publishing 3 blogs a week. Figure out how we can use AI to scrape LinkedIn.
Yes. Exactly that.
It happens constantly. Companies recognize their vulnerability, and they attempt to solve it by frantically buying marketing activities. They just assume that volume equals velocity.
Which is such a trap.
It really is. And this completely violates a core philosophy we hold at Team Trivera, which is that activity should never be confused with progress.
Let's dig into the mechanics of why that panic buying fails. If I suddenly throw, I don't know, $10,000 at Google Ads because I need leads, why doesn't that solve my problem? It's a marketing activity. It drives traffic. Why doesn't it work?
Because an ad click is not a business result, Chip. It is merely an introduction.
Ah, okay.
If you buy bottom of the funnel ad traffic, but you haven't built the middle of the funnel infrastructure to build trust, your conversion rate will be completely dismal.
So you're basically paying for people to just look at your site and leave.
Exactly. You might get 1,000 people to click your ad, but when they land on a weak website that lacks thought leadership, clear messaging, or a way to capture their email for future nurturing, 99% of them will just bounce. You haven't bought predictable growth, you've just bought very expensive web traffic.
That makes perfect sense. It's like buying a high-performance engine but forgetting to install a transmission.
Yes. Perfect analogy.
The engine is revving, there's a ton of activity, but the car isn't moving forward. Launching a podcast or writing a blog doesn't give you control if those tactics just exist in a vacuum.
Exactly. What Tom really champions in this blog is a vision of marketing not as isolated tasks you do, but as an interconnected business system that you build.
Right, it's a system.
Yeah, think of it less like throwing spaghetti at a wall and more like constructing a diversified financial portfolio. In a healthy system, every single component is designed to support and amplify the others.
Let's map out what that system actually looks like mechanically. In the framework Tom describes, your content isn't just taking up space. You write targeted, authoritative content to improve your search engine visibility.
Exactly, you want to be found.
And that improved search visibility captures high-intent prospects actively looking for solutions. Then, once they arrive on your site, your lead magnets and email campaigns capture their information and nurture those relationships over time.
And it continues from there, too. Your thought leadership, like, say, speaking engagements or white papers that builds the credibility necessary to actually close those nurtured leads.
It's all connected.
It really is. Meanwhile, your analytics platforms are running continuously in the background, measuring conversion rates and cost per acquisition so you can optimize your spend. And strategically applied AI tools are accelerating your research, segmenting your audiences, and personalizing your messaging at scale.
It's a complete ecosystem. And Tom emphasizes that the ultimate litmus test for this entire ecosystem is singular. Is it producing business results?
Not vanity metrics.
Right, not vanity metrics. Not, did our website traffic go up or do we get more podcast downloads? Is this interconnected system actually driving measurable bottom-line growth and reducing revenue volatility?
Yeah, if you can't trace the investment back to a business outcome, you are just engaging in activity.
The overarching goal is shifting from a state of dependency to a state of control. Marketing shouldn't exist just to check a box. It should exist to engineer predictability into your revenue model.
Absolutely.
Well, this is a phenomenal foundation. We've established why the referral paradox exists, how marketing serves to reduce risk, and why interconnected systems always beat disconnected panic tactics. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're diving into our next sections. The best marketing gives you choices, and what this means for you.
Welcome back to the Trivera Deep Dive. Before the break, we analyzed Tom's insights on moving away from panic-buying marketing tactics and instead focusing on building an integrated business system.
Yeah, and that shift is just so crucial.
It really is. Now, building that system doesn't just generate leads. As Tom points out in his blog, the real magic of building this system is that it buys you leverage. The best marketing gives you choices.
I really want to spend some time on this concept of choices because it is the ultimate luxury in business. When your only source of leads is a slow trickle of unpredictable referrals, you have zero leverage.
No, not at all.
Right. If a terrible prospect walks through the door, someone who demands a massive discount, has a history of scope creep, and is clearly just going to be a massive headache, you often have to take their business anyway just to keep the lights on. Desperation forces your hand.
But let's look at the specific scenarios Tom breaks down, where predictable marketing fundamentally alters that power dynamic. The first scenario is actually when those referrals are strong.
Oh, okay. So when things are going well.
Right. Imagine your word of mouth is firing on all cylinders, bringing in great opportunities. But alongside that, you have this predictable marketing system running in the background, generating its own steady stream of qualified leads.
In that scenario, you have absolute abundance. You no longer have to compromise on your pricing or your ideal customer profile.
Exactly.
You can politely decline the headache clients and curate a portfolio of customers that align perfectly with your expertise and your margin requirements. Your marketing system basically acts as a filter, allowing you to be highly selective.
The second scenario Tom mentions is when the macroeconomic environment softens. Because business is cyclical and tightening budgets affect everyone, you know.
Yeah, downturns happen.
If a recession hits and your referral network suddenly goes quiet because your past clients are freezing their spending, your pipeline doesn't have to just vanish.
Right, because you have the system in place.
Exactly. Your marketing system is still out there capturing whatever active search intent remains, nurturing long-term leads, and driving opportunities. It acts as a massive shock absorber against economic bad luck.
It insulates the business from external shocks.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes beyond just client acquisition, right? Tom points out how a systemic marketing presence actually changes the game for recruiting.
It absolutely does. We often separate marketing and HR in our minds, but mechanically they are deeply connected.
That is so true.
In a highly competitive job market, the best talent is interviewing you just as much as you are interviewing them. Top-tier employees want to work for organizations that look like modern, stable industry leaders.
They want to bet on a winning horse.
Right. If you have a strong digital presence, consistent thought leadership, and a clear market position, that system does the heavy lifting of recruiting before an interview even happens. You attract inbound talent rather than relying on expensive outbound recruiting efforts.
The leverage applies to future-proofing the business, too. Tom notes that a systematic approach allows you to adapt seamlessly when buyer behaviors shift.
Which is happening constantly right now.
Oh, let's look at what is happening right now in the digital landscape. We're seeing massive shifts toward AI-powered discovery engines, zero-click searches, and totally new ways buyers vet vendors.
Yeah, the landscape is shifting under our feet.
Exactly. And if your entire strategy is based on one tactical hack, like a specific SEO trick, a shift in user behavior just destroys you.
But if you have an integrated system, you have agility. You aren't reliant on a single channel. If search traffic dips, your email nurture sequences and community building efforts are still engaged.
Because you've built the foundation.
Exactly. You can pivot your tactical execution easily because the structural foundation, the messaging, the trust, the customer data, it's all already established.
Which brings us right back to Tom's initial conversation with that proud business owner from the start of the blog. The goal of building this robust, interconnected marketing system is not to replace referrals.
No, nobody's suggesting you turn off the word-of-mouth machine.
Far from it. You want the referrals to be the premium bonus on top of a highly predictable baseline.
Yes, it's about building a business that is structurally sound enough to survive without them, which ironically puts you in a much better position to serve the referrals you actually do get.
That leads us perfectly into the final section of Tom's blog, which is what this means for you. It's time to translate this high-level, 30,000-foot strategy down to the immediate reality check for the business owners and marketing leaders listening to us right now.
It really is the moment of truth for operational planning.
It really is. So if you're listening to this right now, I want you to mentally run Tom's stress test on your own organization.
Grab a mental notepad, everyone.
Yes, let's pretend, hypothetically, that starting tomorrow, your referral network completely dried up for the next 6 months. 0 word-of-mouth leads.
Scary thought.
Very. Ask yourself, what system do you currently have running that would reliably continue bringing qualified opportunities into your sales pipeline?
That is a sobering question. And if the answer is nothing, or if the answer is, well, we would start cold calling, you have identified a massive structural risk in your business model.
Here is the second part of Tom's reality check. Look at your current marketing budget. Are your investments actually tied to measurable business outcomes? Or are you simply checking boxes to feel productive?
Just doing activity for the sake of activity.
Right. Do you know the exact mechanism by which your weekly blog post or your social media spend contributes to your actual return on investment?
And finally, take a hard look at how those investments interact. Are you funding disconnected tactics, it's the panic buying we discussed earlier, or are you actively constructing an integrated system designed to compound in value over time?
These are the critical questions that separate businesses that merely survive from businesses that scale predictably.
Oh.
And Nova, I think we need to reiterate Tom's caveat right at the end of his piece, just so there is zero confusion.
Yes. Do not let anyone convince you that building a marketing system means you should care less about referrals. Keep earning them. Keep delivering the exceptional work that generates them.
Absolutely.
Keep celebrating them every single time they close, because they are the ultimate proof of your company's value.
Just do not confuse the byproduct of doing good work with a predictable growth strategy. Marketing isn't about replacing your absolute best source of business. It is about guaranteeing that the business survives and thrives when that source inevitably hits a dry spell.
Ultimately, as Tom perfectly summarizes, the smartest executives do not build businesses that depend on hope. They build businesses that are explicitly designed to grow.
It's a masterclass in shifting your perspective on what marketing really is. And if you are listening to this realizing that you might be relying a little too much on hope or a little too much on the rain, it is time to start building your irrigation system. That is exactly what we do. We invite you to put our team's 30 years of expertise to use for your own digital marketing and your operations. Ready to take the next step and build a predictable engine for your business. Contact Trivera today to discuss how we can help you succeed. Let's get started.
Thank you so much for joining us for today's conversation. We really appreciate you taking the time to explore Tom's insights with us.
Yes, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with a fellow business owner who needs to hear it. And we enthusiastically invite you to catch the next Trivera Deep Dive. See you then.